Hello everyone, it's Laffy Traffy. It is time to discuss and review One Piece chapter 1019. It was a pretty cool Franky chapter, highlighting of course Yamato and then a little bit of Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy. Overall, a really good chapter. Not a banger, and we do have a break next week unfortunately, so it'll be a little bit of a, it'll be a wait before we get maybe something more interesting on what we were left off with for this chapter, but getting ahead of myself. If you haven't watched my reaction, feel free to check that out. It was an interesting one, for sure. Triceracopter! What? I do live reactions on Twitch, so if you're interested in catching me next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, then follow me over there, and also on Twitter for more One Piece gaming and anime content, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet and you've seen my reaction already or any of my previous reviews or Attack on Titan. I do, various things, and I'm only getting started. But that's not relevant at the moment. Right now, we want to talk about 1019, so let's go into that. First off, I want to say that I loved all three awesome pictures that we got for this chapter. We got the Shonen Jump cover with Luffy, part of the Air Space Force. Eneru, watch out. Then we got Where's Waldo, which, not to brag, but I found him within like 10 seconds. Holy! Oh, it's the Where's Waldo thing! I read about it. Oh, I found him. And then finally we get a beautiful cover spread of all the Straw Hats with Jinbei and everyone. I know Jinbei's been in a few cover spreads, but still. All of those were just amazing. The chapter 1019 of One Piece is titled Heliceratops. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the other translation, Triceracopter, much better. Definitely beats out Heliceratops, sorry. Triceracopter, Heliceratops. The start of the chapter, we see little bits of Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy, so we get a peek at where everyone is, and I really love that. I don't like when one chapter focuses on one thing, so to see all three of them, then Franky, then Yamato at the end, which I was not expecting, made for a really well-rounded chapter in my opinion. We get Sanji talking with Queen about the lasers that Franky would definitely be interested in, which that's definitely a, foreshadowing for the rest of this chapter that he brings up Franky. But Sanji's looking great, he's holding off Queen. Then we cut to Zoro nearby, trying to be recovered by the minks, and they can't get through all the bandages, so that was really funny. And then we still see luckily we didn't get a close-up of but little baby Chopper's still in her hands over there. We don't really see him though. And then finally we cut to Luffy on the Polar Tang. Why do I never remember you? There we go. We cut to the Polar Tang where Luffy is being revived with the Heart Pirates, and I was always under the impression that all of the Heart Pirates were, have basic knowledge of doctoring, but it's not the case, so they were kind of frantically trying to figure out how to revive him. He was going pale, he spit out a bunch of water, what do you do? But luckily, Luffy only needs one of two things. Either he needs milk for broken bones or missing teeth, or meat for everything else. So luckily this falls into the meat category, and beware Polar Tang fridge, I hope you're well stocked. I feel like this might be the last chapter before we see Zoro and Luffy getting back into the game, maybe next chapter, or next time we see Zoro at least, he'll be ready to fight King. And then Luffy, I feel like Luffy's about to go gear 4th and fly up to Onigashima soon. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Do you think that Luffy will be traveling back up to Onigashima via 4th gear, because he does the compression things and flies all the way up? Or do you think that there will be a Momo and Luffy interaction to get him all the way up there? Because that's what I was hoping for originally. But, realistically, Luffy can fly himself, so I don't really see the reason. Plus, Momo has not shown that he has control over his devil fruit still, so I really doubt that Momo would be able to fly on the clouds all the way up to Onigashima. I mean, that's far, and they are starting at the sea, so I feel like they would get like halfway up, and then Momo would just, what's going on? And then they would just fall. So, I think Luffy is just gonna go 4th gear, unless he waits for them at the shore. What do you guys think? I don't know. There's a lot of different options, but he seems raring to fight, so I feel like he's gonna go 4th gear. Moving on to Franky versus Sasaki, I thought this was a very entertaining fight, and we got to see some of Franky's moves, and he has a lot of good ones. He has a lot of good moves, but my personal favorite is the Franky suplex.
I am Super.
And Sasaki's fighting reminded me a lot like Kaku, where he was portrayed as a very serious character and he had to do his job and do it right, but he couldn't really control his powers, so he kept doing weird giraffe square moves. This reminded me a lot of that, because Sasaki has been depicted as a very serious character, and he's a triceratops, he's a big old dinosaur, taking things seriously. But then he accidentally propels himself backwards, and then he just kind of blushes, and he's like, I meant to do that. And Franky calls him out and he's like, no, there's no way you did that on purpose. It's a weird mix when you have such a serious character and then they fight really goofy. And not to mention, the name of the chapter, Triceracopter, Heliceratops, whatever, where he spins his weird, the horns for a Triceratops and spins and goes helicopter mode, and then he has a spinning blade too. And it just looks a really inefficient way of fighting, to be honest, but it was really funny, and although it kind of took me out of it a little bit when he messed up his devil fruit, because I was under the assumption that they've all had their devil fruits for a very long time, so to see him do such a goofy move on accident, that seemed kind of weird and didn't fit. Like with Kaku, he couldn't control his devil fruit because he had just gotten it that day, but Sasaki, I feel like he should be able to control his devil fruit. But nonetheless, that's Oda, and that's One Piece, so you definitely can't complain too much about it because it was funny, and Franky was a good matchup for this because he's also pretty goofy with his fighting, although he kept pretty serious. He dealt the damage to Sasaki here. Franky for sure pulled out all the stops here as he gave, the general suplex, V for victory flash, general cannon, and then to top it all off and end it, did a radical beam while upside down. That was a really cool thing where he had just gotten ejected out of General Franky and then he was upside down and he did the radical beam from there. It was a pretty cool shot, and we see at the very end before it transitions into what happens later on in the chapter, we see Franky huffing, and I'm not 100% sure that this will be the end of Sasaki because similar to Jinbei, we did get a full page spread about the final attack and the final conflict, the final back and forth between the two of them, but something feels like it's unfinished, and they are zones, so, they might be getting up later, I am not sure, but I think this might be the last chapter for now. The only thing that really makes me uncertain is that this chapter wasn't labeled Franky versus Sasaki, whereas with Jinbei, it was Jinbei versus Who's Who, and that was the final chapter. So we might get a second chapter, and that will be the conclusion between Franky and Sasaki, and that will be labeled Franky versus Sasaki. But otherwise, I'd be perfectly fine if this was the final blow for Sasaki before I'm sure they'll come back later, like Ulti. Haven't seen page 1 though. But anyway, great Franky chapter. Always love Franky. He has such a way with fighting, and it's just cool. Moving right along to the end of the chapter, which was a super surprise, we get Yamato and Kaido. They have some very interesting dialogue about Yamato's devil fruit and how he ate it, and a little bit about his childhood with Kaido mistreating him. I was very happy to get more dialogue from them. Yamato talks about how many times that he tried to go against Kaido, and every time Kaido just kept knocking him down, but that's how he got so strong, was fighting Kaido all his life. And then Kaido mentions that the devil fruit that Yamato possesses was not intended for Yamato, and a very rare one that Kaido worked hard to get. And Yamato just ate it on accident when he was hungry. Which I hope doesn't allude to him being, starved as a kid. Maybe it was just wandering around Kaido's lair and happened to be hungry and the fruit happened to be there and he didn't know what the fruit was. But that just kind of popped up in my head when I first read it. It's like, ooh, hopefully that's not, but probably. Because tragic backstory, every Straw Hat has to have it. But this all leads into the reveal of what Yamato's devil fruit looks like. And at first I was very confused. Some deer, fox, you know, it looked like a Sulong mink, while also like a fox, like Katarina Devon with like the flaming furry things and the tail. But then he clearly has like the face of a deer with little horns. It was very confusing, but upon further research, I came to the conclusion all by myself. No, I mean, everyone now pretty much has unanimously agreed that Yamato's devil fruit is a Kirin. Chilin. I'm gonna go with Kirin because that's the Japanese version of this mythological animal, but yeah, it's a chimera-like animal that has like the body of a deer, horns of a deer, tail of an ox, scales like a dragon or fish, and symbolizes the coming of a new great leader, which I wonder who that could be. I will most likely make a separate video of Yamato's devil fruit, what it means, what the mythology behind it, what the appearance might be like, with the color scheme and everything. I'm really excited to see this in the anime or just a color spread. Probably won't get a color spread, but I'm sure we'll get plenty of fan art in the meantime. Yes, we do have lots of fan art. So make sure you subscribe if you are interested in a video about Yamato's devil fruit, diving into all the possibilities there. Anyway, the chapter ends with Yamato stating that although he was wearing Kaido's chains, that was not the only thing holding him to the country. And in fact, it was the fact that he needs to fight for Wano so that he could call himself Odin, which was a really cool last panel where we see a face shot of what his devil fruit looks like. Looks pretty freaking awesome. Again, it has like the Sulong mink look where the hair is flowing like crazy. He has a big tail and like the flames coming out from under him. Looks pretty cool. Very awesome ending, leaving me with hopes that we will get more Kaido versus Yamato before Luffy makes it up to the final fight. This might be a good place for Kaido's backstory, where Yamato and Kaido go back and forth, and then right before Yamato's defeated or right after, we get a little bit of a Kaido flashback, and then once we come back to the story, that'll be like Luffy's arrival. And then whatever we learn from Kaido will be that much more impactful when Luffy defeats him. But I'm excited to learn some more things about Kaido. Hopefully it won't be that long of a flashback. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't mind a long flashback, but I just want to get to it, you know? I want the final battle to start. But impatience won't get me anywhere because there's another break next week because of the Olympics, so we will be waiting for next chapter. Realistically, I think next chapter, if it's not a continuation of Sasaki and Franky, it'll definitely be Black Maria, because we got Jinbei and Who's Who, now Franky and Sasaki, and now only one left is Black Maria. And we need all the Tobi Roppo defeated before we can continue on with the main fight, so maybe we'll get like another ending section of Yamato and Kaido, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping Black Maria next chapter, that'd be sick. But that wraps up the chapter and my review and discussion, so subscribe if you enjoyed what I had to say, and if you're looking forward to more discussions on Yamato's fruit, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. There's a lot of mythology that's super cool surrounding a Kirin, so I look forward to talking about it more. And since there's a break next week, we'll be able to get out the Kirin video and also some more maybe Attack on Titan videos, and maybe even a video on a third series that I might talk about real quick, so the suspense. Just a quick video of my first impressions and thoughts. Again, check me out on Twitch and Twitter if you want more gaming, anime, or One Piece content, but otherwise, have a great day, follow your dreams, and check me next time. Bye! And then someday Beppa will be in the chapter again. I know you're working hard, you're fighting with Sachi and Penguin, you're doing great, Just show up on another chapter, will you?